Hi folks, I'm pumped to kick off a new episode around the new Teams VDI enhancements we just released in GA. And I'm joined by the team who built it to go deep in the architecture, benefits, as well as roadmap. So let's get started. Hi folks, I'm pumped to welcome you on another episode of Windows in the Cloud, this time around all the new Microsoft Teams enhancements for Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop. And as always, please make sure to subscribe on our Windows IT Pro YouTube channel to stay up to date about all the latest news of Windows in the Cloud. So let me introduce our guest today. So, hi Rinku, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm Rinku. I'm a senior product manager working in Azure Virtual Desktop and Windows 365. So excited to be part of this.
Yeah, great to have you here. It's the first time, I think, for you as well being here, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, glad we were able to break that kind of ice here as well. But you're not alone. We have some more guests here as well. So Rishi, you're back from a previous episode, so it's not your first time. Can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, hey Christian, thanks so much for inviting me back on the podcast. It's great to be here. My name is Rishi Pochiraju. I'm a product manager on the Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop team, working on Teams integration into our product as well as third-party calling software. So yeah, it's great to be here and looking forward to it.
Here, thanks, Rishi. And one of the special guests as a guest from a partner team, the Microsoft Teams team, is Fernando, and a well-known name in the EUC industry as well. Very glad to have you. Can you introduce yourself, Fernando?
Yes, Fernando Klurfan. I'm a product manager here in the Microsoft Teams product group, focusing on anything VDI. And I'm very glad to be here because, as you said, the VDI community for me is something that I hold very dear and close to heart. So this time I'm trying to help them from the team side.
Yeah, your experience in this area is definitely something that you could see and feel in these product enhancements that we're going to share today. And it's just great as well to have in the Teams organization a Teams team that focuses on virtualization and make that really a first class. And the same as like local Teams experience when you use like a Cloud PC or an Azure Virtual Desktop VM. But before we kind of jump into those specifics and the experiences and all these things, like, can you tell a little bit like, hey, what's the value prop of this new kind of plugin model and why did we create this versus the previous plugin that we had as well?
Sure. And that's probably a very lengthy conversation. I'll try to summarize how we started and how did we end up here. So about 4 years ago, we released our first generation of optimization for Teams based on the WebRTC media engine, and that required a media engine to be bundled with the remote desktop client. And after we released it, we quickly figured that the customers were simply hungry for more features and better performance and a more modern update mechanism. In a nutshell, what these customers were telling us is why me as a BDI user have a different experience on Teams versus my colleague sitting next to me who's on a native laptop. And the answer to that was a very deep re-architecture of the product that allowed us to essentially bring feature parity from native Teams to VDI. Before, in the WebRTC days, our architecture was lagging behind, and sometimes you would see a new feature in Teams that came to VDI later, a quarter, 2 quarters. In order to address that, we needed to rethink the way that we deliver the optimization, and we came with a new solution based on 4 pillars. The first pillar was an enhanced feature set. We wanted to deliver every new and shiny feature that comes to Teams to VDI. If it wasn't day one, at least very close in terms of ETAs and deliveries. we didn't want the gap to broaden. In VDI, with the WebRTC architecture, we knew that customers expected more, and in order to deliver that, we needed to change the architecture, modify how the media engine gets installed, how the features are ported to VDI. And well, that was the number one pillar. I would say feature set was what customers were mostly screaming for. As well, the improved performance and reliability, faster code setup times, better codecs, higher resolutions. So everything that makes multimedia was also one of the key pillars, the second pillar for our new architecture. We wanted to deliver as close as native as possible in terms of the user experience. Higher frames per second, high resolutions, as I said. If you get an incoming PSTN call, how can I answer that quickly if I am a frontline worker? So improve audio and video quality, second pillar. Third pillar for us with the new architecture was streamline updates. With the previous architecture based on WebRTC, every time there was either a bug fix or a new feature, you had to upgrade your RD client or the WebRTC redirector service on the RD host. And that created some challenges and some frictions in customers who had slower update cycles. So we wanted to decouple the Teams optimization stack from the remote desktop stack, so to speak, and allow you to stay in the remote desktop stack in the versions you feel comfortable with, but anything related to Teams will try to auto-update. So both Teams on the virtual desktop will auto-update, and in the new architecture, also the media engine on the user's device will auto-update. And all it's taken care of transparently by Microsoft. And lastly was our support strategy, where before with the WebRTC, we relied on our partners, Azure Virtual Desktops, Citrix, VMware, to provide support for certain part of the stack, and then the Teams product group would own the app itself. So this split model was probably causing some additional delays in the resolution times, and customers were demanding a single point of contact for anything related to Teams. So direct support or streamline support now with the new architecture. When you have an issue, you call Microsoft, and that call will end up in the Teams product group. So now we can deliver a faster time to resolution. So these were the four pillars. In order to get here, we also needed to stabilize our WebRTC solution. We provided in the past year or so the final fixes for quality and reliability, but we stopped anything related to new features. And anything new is coming now to the new architecture, which we sometimes colloquially refer to as VDI 2.0 or the new VDI solution for Teams.
And this is great, Fernando. And I love it when end user experience as well as engineering efficiency are kind of coming together. I think you and the team did an amazing job here in optimizing something that we had in the past to bring the best experience that we can deliver with as well internal engineering efficiency and the maintenance aspect of it in terms of IT admin management of the plugin altogether. So it's great stuff. I will get you back in just a bit for some more questions, but let's move to Rinku, because I want to really see the architecture and see how it kind of comes together in a technical way with all these streaming components on the background working together to create that like local audio and video redirection experience. So can you show me how that looks and feels, and as well to the audience, Rinku?
Yeah, sure, Christian. So what's new in this new architecture? As Fernando mentioned, this new architecture is designed to bridge the feature gap between the native Teams and Teams for VDI. So it does promise enhanced performance, automatic updates, and it streamlined supports. So it basically contains three main or key improvement areas. The first is the client-side plugin. So the client-side plugin establishes a virtual channel with Teams on the server and handles the media engine download efficiently. And once it's deployed, the Teams will send the necessary instructions about which specific media engine version it's using, etc. And the plugin will manage the rest. The second piece is the Slim Core media engine that is getting replaced. That's replacing the WebRTC. What Slim Core provides is the same high quality performance that currently the native Teams client on Windows provide. It also is responsible for like the reliable connectivity using UDP over STUN or TURN, also using the real-time media, using secure real-time transport, SRTP, and so forth. The architecture also supports advanced meeting capabilities, voice functions, location-based routing, improve supportability, as Fernando mentions, and many more. Whenever the Teams is upgraded on the server, a new media engine version will automatically deploy on the client. This eliminates the need for manual upgrade on your VDI stack, and these plugins are backward as well as forward compatible with the slim core versions. And it's also responsible for cleaning up any obsolete versions that we don't need it right now. How it functions is basically this function contacts or connects to the Microsoft public CDN, downloads the required MXIX package, and it stages and registers it on your user devices without needing to reboot or administrative privileges. So basically, there's no admin action required at this point. So Slim Core Engine also ensures superior media quality with the following capabilities. The first one is, as I mentioned before, efficient connection using UDP over stun and turn. Second is high fidelity audio up to 1080p and screen sharing at about 30 frames per second. And it includes all the media codecs that's available in the native Teams desktop client for Windows that is now supported for VDI. Additionally, it also supports hardware acceleration for GPU-enabled devices. The user can also implement quality of service, that is DSCP, marking from Teams Admin Center. What we feel is that all these enhancements that we have, this current architecture supports, can greatly improve your Teams experience on AVD and Windows 365. So enjoy enhanced performance.
This is great, Rinku. Thanks for explaining. And as this audience is pretty technical, this is definitely a great set of content and as well information that you just share. Hey, what is like the differences? And I think Fernando already kind of alluded to it. The differences between VDI 1.0, the previous plugin, the WebRTC one, and this new VDI 2.0 plugin as well. What are the differences between those two?
Thanks, Christian. Yeah, the main difference is with Slim Core or with this new optimization, we are using a Slim Core media engine, which is the same media engine that native Teams on Windows uses. So we get all the features that currently the native Teams support as in the VDI world. Secondarily, previously, whenever a new feature was introduced in Teams, there was a new construction that had to be done, and then the admins are required to download the MSIX manually in order to get those new features updated for them. That whole thing gets removed because the new plugin does the rest for us. Basically, it looks for which is the new updates that's happening and auto update itself. So always the user gets the latest availability, latest media engine and the features, provided they are using the latest client, which provided they're using the latest kind. So these are the two main differences that we have improved on using this new architecture.
Thanks, Rinku. Great insights. And if you ask me, I would upgrade right now today with all these benefits you just called out. And Rishi, back to you. What does a user need to do to get to Slim Core? What are the technical steps and the requirements?
Yeah, so one of the great things about Slim Core is that the setup and installation process is extremely easy. There's actually not a whole lot involved here. And actually the Slim Core plugin is bundled with the latest version of MSRDC, the Microsoft Remote Desktop Client for Windows, as well as the latest version of the Windows app. So there's really only two major components that the user will need for being on Slim Core. So one is the latest version of Microsoft, and then the second component is just the latest Remote Desktop Client or Windows app for Windows. That's all in terms of what they'll actually need. There are some other system requirements as far as what their endpoint actually is. There is a Windows requirement as far as version number goes. I think it's Windows 10 1809, which is the minimum requirement for Slim Core. And then there's a couple of other things in terms of what their CPU needs to be capable of. It's 4 gigabytes of RAM minimum, and then we do have some CPU requirements, but say a majority of users will meet these endpoint requirements. So I would say the two main things is newest version of new teams, and then either latest MSRDC or latest Windows app.
Yeah, that's great. And what if like I'm a customer and I have different endpoints that are on like the old client and some with the new client slash VDI plugin here? What's the experience between roaming between different versions and endpoint scenario?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So obviously on non-Windows endpoints, we do not have SlimCore yet. So I'll just give an example here. So even in my personal use case, I've got a Mac, and I also use my Windows endpoint. I use both of them in different situations. And when I changed to my Mac, on Mac OS, we have VDI 1, so it is the WebRTC implementation. And I am able to use that on my Mac. But then when I come back to Windows, obviously I want to be on the latest and greatest. So I would like to use SlimCore. But obviously when I have just used my Mac, I will still be stuck on VDI 1 when I come back to Windows, at least initially. But then teams will actually detect this. And I think Fernando and team have done a great job of this, of detecting that I was just on an endpoint with VDI 1 and I need to be on VDI 2. I want to have the latest optimizations. So actually what the team has done is they're showing a pop-up that says you need to restart Teams for the latest experience. So otherwise, I may not know that I have to restart. So as soon as I restart Teams, then I am back on SlimCore. So that kind of tackles the roaming scenario that you just described, where I have multiple endpoints, one that's Windows and on SlimCore, and then others that may not be on SlimCore yet. So.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing. And I know that you prepared some demos as well, where you will show, hey, how can you see that you're on the SlimCore plugin as well? So coming back to you in just a bit, but before we do so, Fernando, there are some other enhancements like admin center improvements to make like the quality level of your like call, how you use Teams in a virtualized environment to make that more visible and measure that based on telemetry improvements. Can you share some more there? Like, what did we do there?
Yes, so supportability was a key cornerstone. In the WebRTC days, we knew that an admin that goes to Teams Admin Center was getting very little value out of it. A lot of data was missing, troubleshooting was hard, creating reports did not provide the insights that the IT admin needed, and we decided to address this head-on. For us, supportability became another key cornerstone of the project, and we decided to invest in Teams Admin Center and the call quality dashboard, which are the two tools every IT admin in BDI should have access to. And if you, as an IT admin from the virtualization side of the house, don't have access to Teams Admin Center and the call quality dashboard, I strongly suggest you contact your Teams peers in your org and request some type of role-based access based on whatever role they can assign to you, and now use these two tools because they will provide you all the insights you need to maintain the product. So in Teams Admin Center specifically, what you're seeing right now, there are either ongoing calls that you can monitor or past calls. Okay, both are available through this portal. And in this case, I'm showing an ongoing call from a user that was optimized with BDI 2.0 with SlimCore. So if you look on their client device, now you see the endpoint the user is connecting from, BDI 2.0. And then we start exposing a lot of information about the endpoint itself. Is the user having a good Wi-Fi signal? Because if he doesn't have a good Wi-Fi, then the call quality will be affected. And this is not a virtualization problem. This is a problem between the user and the network. And now, as an IT admin, you can pinpoint the problem. It's not always the fault of BDI. Okay, we gotta look into what's happening at the endpoint's connectivity. So here you can see the type of network I'm connected to and the strength. Peripherals have been an issue before. Is the user complaining about bad audio because the microphone is coming from the camera or the speaker is coming from the monitor? Maybe he misselected the peripheral, or he's using a device that's not sanctioned by the enterprise, and now he's using a Bluetooth device that he bought online. So now you know as an admin what exactly the user was or is using during the call. and you can either contact the user before they jump onto another meeting and tell them that that device was the reason for the poor call. So from now on, please use a wired headset or something along those lines. You can now dig deeper into the performance of individual streams. If the user complained about screen sharing, you can go into the Teams Admin Center and understand if there were lost frames or what was the jitter of that session or the quality. Same for audio, same for video. You can inspect each modality at depth, and you would be able to troubleshoot much more accurately. Teams Admin Center is, as I mentioned, good for real-time calls. It's good for past meetings, so you can go back in time. If a user complained about a meeting at 9 a.m., you can find that meeting in Teams Admin Center for that user and understand what happened. Call Quality Dashboard, that's the other tool, and that's better for reporting. So you can create custom reports based on a lot of measurements, filters, and dimensions. And based on that custom report, you can spot trends or things that were happening at scale, or users that are lagging behind because they have an old Teams client and therefore an old Slimcore client, or they have older plugins. So you can create these custom reports that allow you to diagnose your company at scale and spot issues before they either become real problems or address them if they were reported and you have many complaints from the field. Now you can spot the real reason. So again, get access to these two, because every improvement that we are going to make into supportability will fall under Teams Admin Center and Call Quality Dashboard. I highly encourage every IT admin out there to get access to these portals.
And what I really like what you just shared is that this is the same kind of admin center portal as for just Teams on a physical PC. And that's exactly kind of what we are doing with Windows 365, building experiences to connect to a cloud PC, use a cloud PC that's just the same as like using Windows on a physical PC. And with breaking this kind of barrier of like, hey, Teams, whether you use physical client Teams or just virtual in a cloud PC or AVD desktop, it's just like the same from an IT management perspective, like visibility perspective. So I love this. So thanks for sharing. But now I want to see it in action. I want to see how it works and maybe see some of these Teams calls experiences as well. So Rishi, can you show like how it works in connecting and using Teams in a virtual session?
Hey, thanks, Christian. So I'm going to show a couple of quick demos. So first will be how to actually tell that you're on Slimcore. So I've got my Cloud PC here, and I've loaded up Teams. This is new Teams. All I'm going to do as a user is I will click on the ellipsis menu at the top right of the screen, and then click on Settings. And then at the very bottom of that, I will click on About Teams. And then underneath the version number, if I am Slimcore optimized, it'll say AVD Slimcore Media Optimized. So that's how I know I'm on Slimcore. If I see AVD Media Optimized without the word Slimcore, then I'm actually on VDI 1.0. And the best way to get back to Slimcore, if you're on Teams on Windows endpoint within your Cloud PC or AVD session, is to do a Teams restart. So I'm going to show you another quick demo. This will be extremely short. This is just me starting a Teams call with myself and just showing off some new features within Slimcore. So I started this call with myself. Here's one of the new features, which is the background blur. So I've done that successfully. And then you can also see the frame rate is exceptionally high here. And I do have 1080p video enabled here. So that is working extremely well. I also have noise suppression on, and I was playing a song in the background. I know you can't hear the audio of this video, but I did play a song in the background there, and you cannot hear anything through the Teams call. So all the features, the new features that have been built with VDI2 are working exceptionally well. And we've heard that from customers as well, that everything is working extremely well, and feedback has been great so far.
Thanks, Rishi. And I also see the layout, like emotions, thumbs up, all these things exactly the same as like using Teams on a physical client. So I love this. And I want to know, like, what's next here? What's on the roadmap? Or are there any things you can share to the audience around this kind of next wave of innovations to come?
Yeah, so of course there's a couple of gaps within our AVD and Windows 365 clients as far as where we have Teams optimizations. So I'd say there's two main areas where we're looking to improve and bring these new features into our clients. So one is with SimCore. Of course, it only exists in Windows endpoints, and I think long term our goal is to bring that to really all of our endpoints. So that's one major area of improvement that we will be looking for. This will be over the long term. And then kind of more shorter term, there are some endpoints where we don't currently have optimizations at all. So for example, the mobile endpoints, particularly for iOS and iPadOS. So there should be an announcement to sometime before the end of this calendar year. So that will be VDI 1 and not VDI 2. But we are looking forward to bringing Teams redirection to our mobile endpoints as well. So lots of things to look forward to by the end of this year and then long term as well.
Thanks, Rishi. Great demo. And one more thing before we close and wrap up this great episode. Like I want to know, and as well the audience want to know, how can they learn more about the information they learned today or the implementation and things like that? So Fernando, is there a blog post or some link that you can point the audience to?
Yes, absolutely. We have 2 blogs at the moment. There will be more coming. We have a series of blogs planned. So you can read in the existing one. The first one is about the architecture and all the rationale of how we ended up here, what we did, what we re-architected. It's a very technical read, highly recommended. The second blog is about the FAQ that we got during the public preview days. So we compiled a list of all the top questions, and it's a great summary. If you spend 5-10 minutes on that blog, you'll get the gist of what is required, what auto updates, what doesn't, what happens on this scenario, what happens on this other scenario. So it's a more fluent conversation between the reader and me. And then the last link is the documentation, the learn.microsoft.com. That article gets updated at least twice a week. I pay a lot of attention to that. If a customer asks me a question and it's not there, I go and edit that article. So you always have the latest up-to-date information. It is almost as good as talking to me directly, because I'm trying to keep that article evergreen with all the latest info, and highly recommended to check that before you do anything on the new VDI solution for Teams, the new optimization. Go there. Even if you read that article a week ago, it could have new data.
That's great. I love the customer obsession you have here in terms of adding these questions every week, twice a week, actually, in fact. So, hey,
sometimes
wrapping up.
More.
Well, even more. And how can people stay in touch with you, Fernando, if they want to provide you feedback directly or just have a chat with you? Or is there LinkedIn that they can look you up for?
You can find me on LinkedIn. There is always room for good, bad feedback. Whatever you have, please contact me. I'll be very glad to hear what you're experiencing with the new optimization. Or you can find me on the blogs. I also monitor that and comment there.
Thanks, Fernando. And Rinku, how can people stay in touch with you?
Yeah, they can reach me on the LinkedIn or through the blogs. Fernando is great in pinpointing me in case if there's something that is in my area so that I can help answer over there. So they can reach out to me in these places as well.
Yeah, that's great. And especially underneath the blog, there's a comment section as well that we all monitor to interact with everybody here watching. Rishi, last but not least, how can people stay in touch with you?
Well, I still don't have LinkedIn, so that's not an option. But I will be monitoring the blogs as well. You can reach me through there. If you have feedback for specific clients, you can actually leave comments and reviews through the respective stores for those clients, and I monitor that. And then through Teams, as Fernando mentioned, through Teams feedback and through the blogs as well.
Yeah, that sounds great. And next time when you're back on an episode, Rishi, we will get you on LinkedIn. I'll make it a goal for myself. Hey, thanks everyone for being here. It was a great episode, great innovation, great work by you and the team and all the devs that contributed to this as well. And thank you for watching. And please ensure to check windowsinthecloud.com to watch all the previous episodes as well. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you back next time.